is a different kind of activity, and media is a different kind of phenomenon also. So it is very difficult to study media in methodical way, and this is an attempt. Please share your views if you want to say something regarding this. So first of all, media can be linked with reception. Reception is nothing but an act which is individualistic. So you have to be the owner of your reception process. So it is very difficult to define in such a way which is accessible and acceptable to everyone. It is very difficult to establish a proper logic for studying media. But this is a challenge, and a researcher should take it as mission to establish individual logic for applying method in media. In social science, we always use a term paradigm. Paradigm is nothing but a mental window. It is a particular way of seeing or observing anything. So for media, the concept of mental window or concept of paradigm becomes very important. It is actually related to the interpretative understanding, that is understanding which depends on interpretation of the researcher himself or herself. Today, my focus is specifically on three specific studies. First is author study, second is genre study, and third is star study. Media always involves some steps for research. So we know that different kinds of variations are there within the sphere of media, but a common attempt can be made to define the steps of media related research. First is to determine the topic. First of all, researcher has to determine the topic. Second, the researcher has to go through immense level of literature review. And for media, it is very important because it is related with controversy and issues related with controversy. So extensive literature review is must. After that, the researcher has to prepare a research question, which will be the central inquiry of the research project. After that, like all other research projects, researcher has to go through data collection method and at last analysis. Sorry, some sort of problem is there. I will take it. Okay. Can you see it properly? Auto study?
No, ma'am, your slide is not visible.
No, ma'am.
Your slide is not visible.
Okay. I will adjust it. Now you can see. Now
Yes.
you can see.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
madam. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. In case of otter study, the term otter is new because it is a French word. Actually, the meaning of otter is related with author. We all are aware of the concept author. So otter is like just like author. It is a French term to denote the role of author as originator of idea. Author always originates. Here also, the focus is origination of concept. Initially in France, author study is done for classification of films according to different directors. Author can be studied with respect to the ability to exercise control over the production process and the product. Here we are talking about cultural production. So, because of the nature of the film, author can be analyzed and author can be classified. Here, the focus is on the originality of the author or the author. It should be remembered by all of us that author study is actually personal vision of the researcher. And the researcher wants to organize single kind of intelligence because the researcher has to depend on director's work, which is single organizing intelligence. In any film, director gives the direction. That is, director is the leading player in the film. So single organizing intelligence plays role there. The role of researcher is identifying the commonalities. That is, identifying the common factors. Commonalities is a concept which means identification of common factors of the director's work. Here, the researcher cannot delimited himself or herself to the film direction or film director only. Agency, that is the point of analysis or unit of analysis, can be author, can be painter, music composer, dancer, or any other creator. So, in case of author analysis, we must remember that the applicability of author study is related with writing, painting, music, dance, or any other kind of creative activity. Because here the unit of analysis or the agency should be taken as creative input. So creative input comes from the agency, and the role of the researcher is to identify the common factors of the role of the agency or the role of the particular actor in this context. What are the steps? First step is identification of stylistic traits of the director. That is, what are the common traits of the director or the dancer or the music composer? On the basis of the trait, category should be fixed. So fixation of category can be done on the basis of stylistic trait of the director or any kind of author. Then perception of people regarding the author should be considered. So researcher has to be aware of the perception of the people regarding the author. Then the researcher should be related with his or her understanding of the social context regarding the stylistic trait of the author. For this purpose, researcher should have extensive command on the subject. It is very much important because if the researcher is not properly aware of the subject, he or she cannot identify the stylistic trait or the cultural traits of the author. After that, the last two steps are very easy. First is data collection, and this last one is analysis. The most important part is identify the stylistic trait of the author, of the director, or the dancer, or the music composer, anyone. For example, I want to give 3 famous filmmakers of Bengal. Here we have Satyajit Ray, Mrinal Sen, and Hrithik Ghatak. These 3 people can be taken as example of author. And all of us who are related with film and who know the name of this kind of people, always remember that Satyajit Ray has his own style of film, of direction, of music. Mrinal Sen also shares his own trait of film direction. Hrithik Ghatak also had his own style of filming. So 3 different personalities, 3 different stylization. Author study of Satyajit Ray cannot be same as author study of Mrinal Sen, and same is true for Hrithik Ghatak. So this kind of author study should be done under close supervision of the researcher, because identification of trait is not that easy for all of the people. In recent context, it can be said that the image of director is seen as key creative person. We can give example from Mumbai film industry. Directors like Karan Johar, director like Aditya Chopra, big banner directors like Sanjay Leela Bhansali, each and everyone is linked with a typical author characteristics. But in questioning them, a theory can be placed, which is known as great man theory. It is also true that author can be seen as a great man. He or she is unquestionable. This is not true. In case of research, everyone is questionable, so the work of author is also questionable. For defining author study, I have used a quote from Mark and Thompson, that is, the artistic act still thoroughly depends on conscious effort of the individual creator. So author creates some conscious effort from the part of individual creator. Researcher need to point out the single authorial voice. The work of researcher is to identify the authorial voice. That is nothing but determination of stylistic trait. But we must know that, we must be aware of the fact that there should be an involvement of psychological attribution, because film as a cultural product is linked with some sort of psychological impact. So a researcher cannot go beyond the periphery of psychological attribution. His or her likings or dislikings can play very important role here. Assessment can be done on the basis of the link between the psyche of the author, that is the creator, and the product, that is the creation. So the role of the researcher here is to link between, is to establish a link between the psychological position, socio-psychological position of the author or the creator with the product or the creation. Now, I'm going to the second part of my discussion, that is genre study. The word genre is also linked with French culture. It is also a French word. But genre as a word is much more common than author. Genre implies some sort of classification. What kind of classification? Classification of culture or cultural product. Like music, like books, like literature, like film, anything can be classified on the basis of the genre. In Hollywood and even in Bollywood, marketing of the film can be done on the basis of the genre. All of us know that, but we cannot link it with genre because we always say that it is a romantic film. It is action movie. So these are the examples of genre. Action, romantic, these are the genre. It is accepted that genre is flexible. Genre can add, genre can come, genre can go. Genre is nothing but semiotic category. Genre is something related with code. Genre can be established on the basis of location. Like some films can be shooted within the sphere of India. Some can be located in international plane. So location can be related with the role of genre. Visual style. Some films are 3D oriented. Some films are normal. Some film can be linked with choreography based. So visual style also can be another category of genre. Reinterpretation of key elements like song, like story can be taken as category of genre. Normally, group of text, group of film, painting, music, anything related with cultural object can be part of genre study. Three kinds of focus are related with genre study. One is narrative. That is film with similar plots or similar structure. Predictable situation. Some can predict what will be the next situation. That can be a genre also. Sequence based focus. Episode based focus. All this can be part of narrative. Characterization. Similar types of characters can be part of genre with similar kinds of roles, similar kinds of personal qualities, motivations, goals, behavior. And the last kind of genre can be clubbed as subject matter or topics. Social genre, cultural genre, psychological genre, professional genre, etc. I think this can be easier for you to understand the genre study. In case of film, we have romantic film. Romantic film can be one genre. Family-oriented film, another genre. Comedy film, another genre. Action film, another genre. In case of music, we have basic music, filmy music, non-filmy music, classical music, Western music, fusion. These are the category. These are the category of music. These are the genre of the music. In case of literature also, we have romantic literature, classical literature, adventure-oriented literature. So this can be examples of genre. Typology of genre can be done on the basis of period also. That is, film before independence, film after independence. Country can be unit of genre. Film based on India, film based on USA, film based on UK. Technical process. Highly technical process is adopted in some film. So highly technical adoption for some film can be one genre. Moderate technical acceptance can be another genre. Venue. In India also, we have some specific shooting spots. The venue can be different. Venue can be Bengal. Venue can be Hyderabad. Venue can be Kerala. So venue can be another point of genre. The purpose of the film, that is the aim of the film, can be genre also. That is, if some social message is attached to a particular film, then the film can be clubbed as social genre. It can be political genre. It can be economic genre. Audience can also be a part of classification. Which kind of audience is related to a particular film? That can be another part of genre, like audience with high educational background, audience with moderate education background, and audience with least educational background. This can be different kinds of genre. What are the steps for genre study? First of all, it is very difficult to categorize appropriate genre. So, extensive command on that particular subject is needed first. First and foremost thing is to have extensive command on a particular subject. Second, on that particular subject, people's perception should be considered by the researcher. So the researcher should connect with lots and lots of people who are attached to such kind of understanding. Then, third step is, now researcher can develop his or her own orientation regarding the subject. Now it is easy for him or her to fix the category, that is fixation of genre. Then last two steps are very easy. One is data collection, like all other research, and the last one is analysis. Now, a comparison can be done between these two, that is between author and genre. In case of author study, categorization is done on the basis of the person, that is on the basis of the directors. I have told Shotajit Ray, Mrinal Sen and Ritik Ghatak. All kinds of author study is associated with person. That is, person is the unit of categorization. If you are talking about music, then also you have genre of you have author like Robindranath in Robindra Sangit, Nojrul Giti for Nojrul. In case of Hindi film also, you can have Naushad style, you can have style of Shantanu Moitra, you can have the style of Arijit Singh. They can be treated as author. So in case of categorization of author, the researcher should be very much careful of person. But in case of genre, categorization is done on the basis of concept. That is romantic song, filmy song, action movie. That is concept, which is not associated with person. Concept can be associated with a person, but categorization is based on concept in case of genre. But in case of author study, the classification is based on person. So, second difference is that focus of author study is individualistic style. But in case of genre study, focus is on generic similarities. That is, in case of romantic film, we have some specific components. You have to identify the specific components, that is generic similarities. In case of author study, determination can be done on the basis of the creativity of the artist. That is, author can be related with his or her own creative purpose. The role of researcher is to identify the point of creativity, the specificity of the creativity of the artist. But in case of genre study, the role of researcher is to determine the background context of sociological matter. What is the background of the genre? That is the role of the researcher. The researcher has to determine the background context which comes from society. So it is nothing but sociological context. In case of author study, the purpose is to create artistic orientation. So, researcher should be aware of artistic orientation of a particular person. But in case of genre study, always the object of research is linked with commercial purpose. So these four differences are very important to distinguish between author study from genre study. But there are some similarities. First of all, both study can be linked with cultural objects and cultural individuals. The second one is both studies are linked with psychological aspiration of the researcher, because at first of my lecture, I have already told that paradigm that is mental window of the researcher, is very important here. Because in case of author study, the researcher should be very much careful about his or her own orientation of culture, because chances of biasness are there. In case of learner study also, the perfection is linked with that kind of precaution of being biased. Now, I am going to the last part of my discussion, that is star study. I think all of us are very much aware and very much used to with the concept of star. That is star of film, mainly star of film. Star can be linked with sports, star can be linked with music, but film is the most popular arena where star studies can be done easily. Who are the stars? Stars are idols, idols of consumption, rather than idols of production. Production is linked with physical activity as well as machine activity. So idols of production can be exemplified by engineers, by scientists and others. But mainly stars are associated with consumption, because this kind of consumption is linked with cultural consumption mainly. They are linked with economy, but not directly like engineers, scientists and workers. They are related with economy indirectly. But it is true that star can be seen as locus of product's identity. Any film can be marked by the presence of star. We always investigate who is the star behind a successful movie, behind a successful film. Thus, image of star can be developed. Image of star cannot be easily developed or instantly developed. A process is linked with that. What are the sources for star analysis? Media products can be the most important sources, mainly films, TV programs. We also have advertisements and posters regarding the particular star. The star can appear in TV programs and interviews. We can have press coverages and stories from different print media. There are fan clubs. So we can have official fan literature and some unofficial fan literatures like letters. In most of the cases, stars have their own websites. And for superstars, we have biographies and books. We can have some written sources. For Amitabh Bachchan, Rajesh Khanna, and even Shahrukh Khan. Many of them are associated with research work still today. Now, what are the steps? We should remember that, and the researcher of star analysis should always keep in mind that star analysis is not that easy. Initially, people think it is very interesting, it is very easy. No, it is very difficult, because first step is to have knowledge on the socio-cultural background of the star. Extensive knowledge is needed for that. The star as a person is very important. So the background information is necessary for the research purpose. Not only the background, the researcher has to collect data from the childhood of the star, and childhood should be associated with a particular socio-cultural background of a particular place where the star is grown up, his or her schooling, his or her educational background. After that, his or her career and present context. So extensive knowledge is needed regarding the background information of the star. First, two kinds of information here is important. First is information regarding the star, then information regarding the socio-cultural background of the star. Second step is reading of the situation. So the primary duty of the researcher is to match the contribution of the star in the present context with the situation. It is very difficult task. First two steps of star analysis is very difficult, and it needs rigorous exercise of time, energy, resources, everything. Last two steps are data collection and analysis. For data collection also, here data collection is not that easy. Data collection of author analysis can be easily available because data can be collected for author from different sources. For runner also, different sources are available. Here also we can have interview, we can have biographies, but here the focus is a star, and a star can be treated from both sides, from the acceptance side of the audience and from the giving side of the star. So data collection can be done on two parts. For the reaction, you have to be, the researcher has to be linked with audience part, and for the part of the star himself or herself, the researcher has to be aware of the personal attribution of the star. So third step is also some sort of tricky in star analysis. And the last step is easy because it depends upon interpretative understanding of the star. Here, I have assembled some pictures of Shahrukh Khan because Shahrukh Khan is a popular research object for star analysis. Many PhD work is associated with Shahrukh Khan. So, first of all, I want to say, first picture is his childhood picture and a picture with his mom and dad, and Shahrukh Khan in his childhood. I have assembled this because I want to say, I want to convey that the star analysis regarding Shahrukh Khan should not be related with his films only. It should start from his childhood, his schooling, his family background, his economic opportunities. So, the first part of analysis should be the family, the childhood, the pattern of socialization of the person. Second is young Shahrukh Khan. That is his struggling part. Second picture is not composed here because of his star image. It is his struggling phase. It is a picture of a film Divana where he plays the role of second hero. And he was not that important in that movie. So it was his struggling phase. Third one is Shahrukh Khan as hero. So first phase is his family, his childhood, his background. Second, his struggling period in films and serials also. Third is his establishment as hero. Fourth picture is Shahrukh Khan as a family man. Shahrukh Khan as husband. Shahrukh Khan as father. So his family, his present family can also be part of star analysis. And the last one is Shahrukh Khan as owner of Night Riders. This is his associated aspect, which is not related with film directly, but his image, his brand image, plays important role here. I don't have the picture, but I want to share with you that Shahrukh Khan is a producer. So in star analysis involving Shahrukh Khan, researcher should be very much aware of his role of producer also. And then Shahrukh Khan is linked with Bengal as brand ambassador. That can be a part of star analysis also. So I mean to say, star analysis involves each and every aspects of the life of a star. It can start with the initial phase of the star and it ends with his or her each and every activity. Now, I just want to sum up. So what kind of activity we can have for media method? First of all, we should have a text. Text is not text like us. Text can be film, text can be music, text can be sports activity, anything which comes under study. Text can be cooking also. Anything and everything can be part of text. Text is just a unit of research here. In case of media, first thing is text. And the text, whatever it may be, it should be related to a producer. If it is a film, it is related with a director. If it is a music, it is related with composer. If it is sports activity, it should be related with player. So text should be there. There should be producer and text and producer should be interpreted by the researcher, that is interpreters. So media method must consider three aspects separately as well as collectively. Because media method involves cultural object, that is text, cultural actor, that is producer, and cultural acceptance oriented people, that is interpreter. So for studying media method, we have to be very much conscious of three components: text, producer, and interpreters. In case of today's analysis, I have exemplified from films, music, and literature. This can be treated as text. Producers are author or actor or dancer or singer. Interpreters are the researchers. So for media method, we have all this collectively as well as separately. What are the similarities between these three methods? First of all, these three methods must be linked with content analysis or discourse analysis for the part of analysis. These two methods of analysis are very common, and due to time constraint, I can't go to the content analysis and discourse analysis. These can be linked with star analysis, author analysis, and genre study, definitely. Because these three study can be combined with content analysis or discourse analysis as the researcher thinks appropriate to him or her. Sometimes both can be combinedly used in case of analysis, content and discourse both. Three methods of media analysis must be linked with subjective factor, because all these cultural products are judged by the individual himself or herself. The researcher here plays important role in analysis of the matter. So subjective analysis is very important in three kinds of studies. And there are fear of biasness. Definitely, chances of biasness is very high. In author analysis, the researcher can have his or her own preference. In star analysis also, the research is done mainly on the basis of biasness of a particular star. So chances of biasness is very common here. At the same time, researchers should be aware of psychological reductionism. Chances of biasness in a greater sense can involve the error of psychological reductionism. Sometimes it is said that the researcher logically discard all others' viewpoint. The researcher has to stick on his or her own viewpoint. That is nothing but psychological reductionism. Here, a challenge appears before the researcher. Researcher has to negotiate with his or her likings or biasness with the people's perception and people's viewpoint. It is not very easy to go beyond the biasness of a person. But it is obvious because the researcher should be focused, and the researcher should be rational in his or her effort. Otherwise, this kind of study can be linked with some sort of psychological reductionism. In conclusion, I must say two basic qualities of appropriate research must be associated with star analysis, author study, as well as genre study. First is objectivity, and the second one is ethical neutrality. Objectivity implies the researcher should have a perfect scientific bent of mind beyond his or her subjective understanding. Objectivity will be same for everyone. Objectivity cannot be a variable. Objectivity is constant, fixed, and testable. So, in this kind of research, it is very difficult to be objective in the approach of research. But this is a challenge to the researcher to establish objectivity with rational orientation. If the researcher can establish objectivity, then the fear of psychological reductionism will be non-existent. And the second, the last one is ethical neutrality. The researcher must be neutral, must be in equilibrium for giving opinion about cultural unit or cultural object. Otherwise, biasness will take place. So for a proper understanding of this kind of media activity or media study, researcher should be a balanced personality with two basic qualities. One is objectivity and the other is ethical neutrality. If the researcher can be able to merge both, then the research will be acceptable as well as fruitful and successful. Thank you, everybody. This is my presentation for today. Any question from your part?
Thank you so much, Susmita. Anybody of you who have any questions?
Thank you, Purva. Okay, I think they don't have
any questions as such, but we would like to thank you on the behalf of the entire Department of Home Science for giving us time. And it has been so nice because this kind of lecture, your topic was absolutely unique from what they have been listening to all these days. So we wish you all the best from the Department of Home Science. Thank you
Thank you.
so.
Thank you, Purba. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my view with all of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.